Nigerian and I've known people who are Nigerian-American. And it's an important point, just like a lot of different cultures. Like when you know people who are Jamaican and you know people who are Jamaican-American, it's totally different.
We're different.
Like when you call like they're Jamaican.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like the rap group. Okay.
Like the rap group, like exactly though. Like there's a new like a New York Puerto Rican and Puerto Rican.
It's because there's like that dual influence thing, and I think that's what makes it. That's what makes the experience, I guess, different from like an American or a Nigerian.
Welcome to the Linguistics Show, where we talk about life, love, and everything else. There's always something to talk about with this couple, so you never know what may come out of their mouth.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Linguistics Show. I'm Carol.
This is Jason.
And so we are here today with two awesome guests. Who are y'all?
I'm Memi.
I'm Dapo.
Okay, awesome. So we have Memi and Dapo joining us, and so today's topic is cultural differences between marriages. And so let me just get to know y'all a little bit for the audience. So I want to just find out, and I'm sure that you do too, Jason. How did y'all meet, and about how long have y'all known each other? Your face
So there's a story to it because there's three sides to every story. So I'm sure there's his story, her story, and the truth.
Their story is gonna be very aligned because they're right here side by side. So can't vary that
I'm
much.
sitting next to you, and I know our story different.
Our story has some similarities, but
true.
But
Okay.
yeah, but
Hey, good way of pointing that out.
We was in the same place in both stories, right?
yeah, so
Two stories in the
how did y'all meet, and how long have y'all known each other?
Yeah,
Because
so
you're obviously married.
So we met in college. We met freshman year at Morgan State, and I have on my Morgan State hoodie.
Okay, Morgan State Bears.
Go Bears,
Morgan
baby. Go
State,
Bears.
Go Bears.
Me at
And
Mouse.
That's right. I know that's right.
So yeah, we met at Morgan. I think that was like probably 18 years ago. So I guess I've known him half my life because we were about 18
Right.
when we met. So we met in math class.
Oh, okay.
So that was the first day of math class, and I hated that class.
The class I
because
kept walking in later on.
He was always late.
Okay, so first of all, why did you not like math? And second of all, why are you always late? Because you already knew your schedule.
Yeah, I see.
I know you not the punctuality police. I know you
Put it
not.
out there. We
I
are
know you not.
having a conversation with our
No,
guests.
because that math class, so the teacher would just always put the notes on the board. So I didn't see a point of just sitting in there watching him put all the notes on the board. So I just showed
didn't
up
talk at all.
15, 20 minutes, before the class ended. I'll show up, write everything down, and walk right back out.
Got you on that.
I was probably tardy like 3 times a week. So
And it was a 4 p.m. class, so I hated that because that means like you finish your day, you go eat, you go lay down, then you got to get back up and get dressed again and go to class.
You're right about
so
that.
I hated going to class.
Because
and
it was
so
at 4 p.m. I feel you on
I
that.
hated the 4 p.m. class. So that was another thing that made it hard to go to class. But after a while, as soon as I saw him, I had a crush on him.
Okay.
And so I would tell my friends, like, oh, I have to go to my 4 p.m. class. See my motivation. So they started calling him my motivation. And I remember they would call him Ro. As soon as I saw him, because he's my type, he's tall, he's dark. Like, that's kind of what I've always liked in guys. And so when I saw him, I was like, oh, he's cute. And then they say his name, and I'm like, oh, he's Nigerian. Sign me up. So yeah, so that was that. And so I crushed on him for a little bit. And then one of my friends was really cool with one of his friends. And so I see her hanging out with him, then I see him hanging out with him. And I'm just like, oh, I think you know one of his friends. And she was like, yeah, I think. So she had told him about it, and then whatever, word got back to him that I was feeling him. And then it had got back to me that, oh, he was feeling me too. And all this time, we had never said anything to each other in class.
and the cap. Sorry.
Right.
To throw a caveat.
Background work.
Y'all didn't even talk yet.
No talking.
To throw this caveat in there, 2 of my friends to this day still argue about who set us up. So like they still battle between them two. Like, yeah, no, I was the one that put him on. Not two of our friends kind of going back and forth with that as far as who set us up or who put us together. But I think we kind of agreed that we'll probably give that title to Landon. He was the one that kind of put the work in to, I guess get the buzz in both of our ears and,
I think it was Landon only because he knew both me and Dapo, whereas our other friend, he was more so Dapo's friend, and then he knew one of my friends. So he couldn't really speak to me, whereas Landon was able. I'll never forget. He came running down the steps. I was like, "Oh, Memi, you know my boy Dapo." He's like, "He's feeling you. He really feeling you." And I was like, "Oh, really? I like him too. Put me on." And so that was that. And so we were doing all this background work, and we still hadn't
Right, you hadn't even talked yet.
We haven't said a word to each other.
Yeah, okay.
This is like a month.
So you'll have class together.
Yes.
That Dapo comes in towards the end for the notes. Like, you are now happy to be there because you got someone who's your motivation.
Because I can look at him. Just look at him. Nothing else. Not talk. Nothing. Just look at him.
So then, how did y'all actually start? Why are you looking at me like that?
Nothing.
Go ahead. Okay, y'all.
You like that sound familiar?
He just leaned right up in my microphone.
It sounds like linguistics class. That's why.
We're talking about
Sound a lot like linguistics class.
Dapo's math
Y'all
class.
met in class too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I want to hear what y'all said.
So
I want to hear like how y'all actually started, I guess, talking because y'all had friends, but y'all hadn't really talked because y'all just didn't talk.
So back then there was this thing called AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, and
right, I remember that.
And you won't know about it, right? You won't know about it if you were born at least probably 92. That's the youngest I'll probably give you. But AIM was a way.
I was thinking like 85, 86, 87.
And I use that because that's my little brother's age, so I think he probably used AIM a little bit.
Okay, got you.
A little bit. But yeah, so that was our main mode of communication. There were no DMs, there was no text messaging. You talk to your friends through AIM.
Right.
So I had found his AIM name. I think Facebook had just started, so I found him on Facebook, and you list your AIM name on there. So I found his AIM name, and I sent him a message on AIM, and I said, "Thanks for closing the door in my face." So that was another part. Like, I felt like one day we were walking out the building, out of the math building, and he was right in front of me, and he didn't hold the door open. Because I'm a lady, so I'm like, you need to hold the door. You need to step to the side, hold the door open, and let me walk through. And he didn't. So
he just left you.
So in my mind, he slammed the door.
You better use that bell, Dapo.
No bell. Ain't no bell. And so I had messaged him like that, like, "Oh, thanks for slamming the door in my face." And we started talking from there. He was like, "I ain't slammed no door in your face, girl."
Because I definitely didn't. When we're walking out the building, I look behind me, nobody's behind me, and I kept going. So the doors are heavy too, so they slam hard. They ain't like I slam. Ain't like I just say, "Oh, she behind." Come on, let's be real, guys.
Yeah.
If you know me, you know me. I'm a gentleman.
I made the first
Stop
move.
it.
That's all that matters.
No, okay.
The rest is history.
And the rest is history.
There you go.
The rest is history. And we dated for a little bit. Probably dated for like a couple months after that. The summertime, we came back to school and we broke up. Real dramatic for me. So we broke up for about 2 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Dang.
So we were just friends during that time. We were seeing other people, and then senior year.
That sound like us.
That sound just like us.
There's some similarities.
A lot like us.
Like, really though.
And then we got back together senior year. That was probably 2007.
Yeah.
He was online, so it was a really bad time to get back together. He was pledging Alpha.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so once we crossed, I feel like our relationship really started because I was just his online girlfriend for like 6 months. So we didn't get to really like enjoy our relationship.
Yeah, because he was busy.
Yeah, very busy.
Couldn't do nothing. Just go. That was it.
You couldn't enjoy life. You couldn't enjoy nothing.
Couldn't even enjoy the sunrise. Nothing.
It was a very interesting time. That was when I had to prove my ride or die skills.
So,
but then after that, we
was
were together.
y'all were together ever since.
Yeah.
Okay, so then y'all met. Okay, so y'all met in college. Y'all met in math class, and y'all had a little breakup. I think got back together, and so then after college. us about how long. So y'all actually, got married because y'all we're together since freshman year off and on.
So we actually got married on our 5-year dating anniversary. Okay. So the same exact day. So we dated.
Oh wow, the exact day. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we got engaged. It was 2011 on April 10th, surprisingly, which was 410, and we got engaged in Baltimore, which is the area code for 410.
Right, exactly.
So.
Which you're from? Exactly.
Real Baltimore Central. Man, we gotta include that too.
Hey, but the crazy part is, even when I met her, I didn't believe that she was from Baltimore because she didn't have an accent. Like she didn't have no, like the hard T and all this extra stuff. I'm just like, you're not from Baltimore. Like you're not really from here.
I have an adaptive accent where my accent takes on whoever I'm talking to.
Oh, okay.
I've been told I do the same thing.
So I haven't. When I'm talking to my Baltimore friends, my Baltimore accent does
just comes out, and then if it's someone different,
but I think
back off.
Exactly. But I think because I was born, like I was an African, immigrant child, I would have to. I would have to talk one way at home and then talk a different way at school. So I kind of like adapt to wherever I am.
Yeah, I have a few friends like that. I'm like, okay, so like around your aunts and your mom, you sound one way. But around your friend, you sound different. I'm like, how do you do that? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay.
It's crazy.
It's like a switch. You just turn it on and off. Like even my friends, when they come around, like me and my parents or something, and like my parent, like my mom, she'll speak Yoruba to me, so that's like our language, but I'll respond in English. So they're sitting there like confused. They're like, how y'all understanding each other? Like, what is going on here? So that's a whole nother way. You just like I said, you just kind of adapt to where you're at, basically.
I love that.
Yeah.
So like the funny thing, like we were talking about, is like y'all relationship really does kind of mirror our relationship in the early stages, at least. Like instead of Morgan, it's Maryland. Maryland.
Let's go Maryland.
Right. Instead of Baltimore, it's College Park.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of being Nigerian-American, we're just some kids from the suburbs of D.C. Some African-American kids from the suburbs of D.C.
From Baltimore.
And so, like, I wonder, like, as you were saying, like, you dated for a while. Y'all even broke up for, like, more than a year. Same thing we did. And got back together. I wonder if, like, was there anything different about, like, when y'all were dating and as y'all were about to get married and then getting married that, how is that different than like our experience? Like I guess that was kind of like what we were talking about earlier, culturally speaking. What is different about dating as Nigerian Americans in the DMV, or just in actually more, in Baltimore?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you for clarifying that. So
because it's a different vibe. Because I know I have some friends that be like, whoa, wait a minute. It'll be like, whoa, wait.
Y'all in Maryland.
So it's a different, like, there's Maryland and then there's Baltimore.
We live in the DMV now, but like when y'all were dating, it was not the DMV. So thank you for the clarification.
Right. Because so true. So like that's what I wonder. Is just like, I know, like with us, we had a relatively traditional dating. We lived together for a little bit, we got engaged, we got married. It was relatively traditional. We have 2.5 kids. I mean, she's getting bigger, so she's not a 0.5 anymore.
We have 3 whole children.
And the white picket fence and the whole nine. But I wonder at times, like,
picket fence, but okay,
like that brown, I guess not a picket fence. What do you call that fence? It's like that brown wood cowboy fence or whatever that is. No, at our old house we had
it's a
brown
fence.
fence. Also sure we had a fence. I remember when that joint got built. And the point is like, how is your understanding of, like, African American culture and just American culture in general, like, and your understanding of it, how is it different? Being Nigerian American, how is it different specifically than like how it was for us for dating, the pressure of being married, the engagement, that whole thing? Yeah, see what I'm talking about? So that's what I'm asking, because I have a couple of friends who have told me like it is different than the way like a lot of people look at me and Carol's like, oh, like wow, like y'all are like literally like some TV somebody wrote y'all
I'm
stuff
giving you a whole side eye.
but like no, it's that y'all dated in college and y'all broke up and y'all got back together and y'all got married early and had 2.5 kids and a white picket fence, like that whole thing. You know what I mean? So like that's what I'm saying. Like how is that different, culturally speaking?
Okay, I'll speak for my house, like my upbringing. So I'm the only daughter, and I have 3 younger brothers. And so it's like I'm the oldest and I'm the only girl. So I felt
a lot of pressure.
You know, a lot of pressure to do it right, not get it wrong, to like no mistakes basically being able to be made. And so I feel like my parents were very clear on what they expected me to do. They expected me to get my degree.
They expected you to do? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There you go.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I did not. I fully didn't mean it, but I fully didn't mean it, but it just it came out. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It wasn't that stressful.
I apologize.
That was a DU, not a DEU. Like
I'm supposed to be doing the what do they call it? The non-regional accent thing. That's what I'm trying to do right now. It's not working. But yeah, so they were very particular, very specific about how I was supposed to live my life, and I was supposed to get a degree. My mom wanted me to get married right after my bachelor's. My dad wanted me to get my master's first. So up to today, he's still asking me, "Are you not getting your master's?" I'm like, "That ship has sailed. I'm not going back to school, sir." So he's still telling me like, "You mean your husband has masters? Everybody has masters except for you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm done." I gave you 2 grandkids. Is that not enough?
No, the thing. Sorry to interject, but the thing that's funny about that, like when she said that her mom wanted her to get her bachelor's wanted to get married after her bachelor's. But the thing is with African parents though, during your time at school, they're always saying, finish your books, study. You should not be having any boyfriends and this boyfriend and girlfriend and all of that. But then, well, most of them are.
In high school, yeah.
Most of them are.
College?
But in college, like, no, you have to fix your books. You can't be running around with boyfriend and girlfriend, get your degree. But as soon as you graduate, where's your boyfriend? It's like, which one? Like, what is it? Like, how was I supposed to do that if I was supposed to be fixing my books? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I want to throw that in there.
But the thing with my mom and what I feel may set her apart and what would probably be different from African American situations, my mom wanted to not only handpick who I married, she wanted that person to be from her tribe, like her tribe. So Dapo is Yoruba. So you'll hear Nigerians say that there are 3 major tribes. There's Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa. You don't see a lot of Hausa people in America, but you see a lot of Igbo and Yoruba people. Right. Okay. So my parents are from a smaller tribe called Edo. They're from an Edo tribe, which is a different place in, I want to say northwest Nigeria. Please don't beat me if I get it wrong. But it's in Nigeria. It's a smaller state. And my mom wanted me to marry somebody not only that's Edo, but someone from their village. Oh, that's very specific. She kept bringing the pool closer and closer and closer. So I dated a guy one time that was Edo, and he was from Edo State, but he was from Benin, which is like a neighboring city to my parents' city. And she had all these Benin people, I don't really like them too much. They do this, they do that, they do this, they do that. She had all these stereotypes about every tribe except for her own tribe. Oh, wow. So her tribe was the right tribe. Okay. And so, and so when I started dating Dapo, it was like my dad loved him, my brothers loved him. My brothers loved Dapo immediately because they had all these like inside jokes that they watched, like Space Jam and Family Guy. Okay. Like they watched all the same shows, so they like had all this they had all this different language. He fit right in with my brothers, and my dad was like, oh yeah, he's nice, he's respectful. My mom was like, he's nice, but he's Yoruba. He's not a Gara. And I was just like, he doesn't have to be a Gara. Like, I don't know anybody from Igara, and everybody that we know from Igara is related to us. Oh, yes. Even people you say that are not related to us are still related to us somehow, some way. And she's like, yeah, but that's what makes it good. That's what makes it, you know the lineage, you know the family, because they're very big on, you don't just marry the person, you're marrying a family. Right. So it's like she wants to be good friends with her in-laws and hang out with them, and you be able to communicate and understand them. So for her, that was very important for her, and to the point where she had random people from Nigeria calling me.
Oh wow! So it's like random guys like that she's found.
Yep.
Who meet all of her criteria.
Yep.
She's like, Memi, okay, he's this, he's the one.
Yep.
And so how did you handle that since you were already dating Dapo?
I had to block him.
Okay, easy enough. Okay.
I had to block him because she kept she actually sent my pictures to Nigeria, and I'm like, Mom, what are you actually doing? Like, what's going on? I have a boyfriend. And she's like, yeah, you have a boyfriend, but I don't think he's serious. Like, he's so young. Like, y'all are so young. Like, there's no way this is serious.
He's so young, but y'all say this.
She was like, y'all the same age. Like, this guy's a little bit older than you. He's more mature. Like, this would be better for you. And I'm just like, I don't want to date someone that lives in Nigeria. Like, there's no way. Like, I dated guys that only came to came to America for college. Mm-hmm. So like they were like a lot more Nigerian than me, and it wasn't always a good match. Like I liked dating guys that were like me, like we were Nigerian, but we had the same experience. Because being Nigerian-American is an interesting little it's like a little purgatory. Like you're not American enough for the Americans, you're not Nigerian enough for Nigerians. It's like its own, I guess, subculture. Like we understand each other. We know what it's like to have crazy, overprotective Nigerian parents who don't let you do anything, but you go to school and you want to be like, you want to wear the newest Jordans. Right. You want to fit in, but your parents don't know what that means. So they're buying you Shaqs and sending you off to school thinking and wondering why you're getting picked on. They're disconnected from the culture that's on the ground. So you're the first person that has an understanding of the culture.
That's an amazing point that I never thought about before.
I mean, it was so many things I wanted to piggyback on from what you were saying. So just like she mentioned, so she's the oldest and the only girl, right, with 3 younger brothers. I'm the complete opposite. I'm the youngest and the only boy with 3 older sisters.
Oh, okay. This is about to get good right now.
I might have to go refill my drink on that one. Like, man.
So the expectations for me as like the son, I didn't really have that many. I didn't really have much expectation. I was like the baby, I was
couldn't do no wrong.
Yeah, I couldn't do no wrong. My sisters was there getting in trouble for stuff, and I'm just in there, with being the little angel and stuff like that. So,
up to today.
Nah, I don't know. But
it was a whole story. I'm not sure that's a fact.
But I mean, honestly, but like growing up, as far as marriage goes, I've never really had those conversations with my parents. So I've only seen it through my older sisters. So like my 2 older sisters, they're married. My oldest, she's like a good 12 years older than me. So I was able to see, I saw her get married first, have kids, and then so on with my second sister getting married and having kids and so on and so forth. So as far as the pressures of getting married, I never got that from anybody. So just, when I proposed to her when we were 24?
Yeah.
When I proposed to her, so we were like one of the first ones out of our whole circle, out of our group to get married first.
Yeah.
So like even during that time, like the first 2-3 years, we're the only married couple in our group.
Been there, done that.
You know what I'm saying? So we got a whole lot of our friends.
Very interesting.
They were single and all that, and they're probably dating here and there, but we're like the only married couple. So it's like, okay, so how we maneuver this? Like, we want to be able to do this and go out, and at the same time we still want to be able to kind of foster and build that family life and stuff like that. So it was a battle with that.
Right.
So just to kind of go back again, as far as marriage goes, like from parents and pressures, I never got that. Like not ever, literally. And even it's crazy because when I talked to my dad about it right before I proposed to her, so me and my dad, we don't really have like a lot of one-on-one talks, but when we do, it's like long, deliberate, and it's like we in there for about 4 or 5 hours and we talking, right? So I'm telling him like, initially I said, I think I want to marry this girl, and then he was like, are you sure? So like my dad, he's like that true like African dad. He's like, his voice is like deeper than mine. So he's just sitting there in the corner like, are you sure you want to do that? I was like, yeah, I'm pretty positive. I feel like she's the one for me, and I don't think there's really anything else out there. So I feel like she's the one perfect for me. So we go on this entire talk about, sometimes, you have to be careful, marriage is not easy. Sometimes the women, they act a little funny. Like, he's always talking in parables a lot of times. So it's hard to even like understand.
What he's saying,
I have to pinpoint or ask like specific questions. Like, okay, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean by they act funny? What do you mean by this and that? But at the end of the day, he essentially said, hey, it's your decision. She seems like a very nice girl. We support you. We support her. She tried to throw it in there. As the mic can go pick it up. Like, we support you. We support everything. So they were like, my family, they backed me from the very beginning. From when she first came around, they loved her. My mom loved her. Like, she always asking about it. Oh, how's Memi? How's she doing? Oh, even of course to this day, she'll call her up, talk to her, and they have their, check-ins and stuff like that. So, but yeah, overall, just and just to kind of put in the cultural perspective as well. I think one thing, at least with, I want to say maybe with all Africans, but I guess with Nigerians in general, respect is like the very common thing. It's like a very important aspect for everybody, right? And I think for me to kind of understand that, I don't want to just go over to to her parents' house and just act like how I want to act and just do how I want to do. I came in respectful, always greeting them like, in our culture, when you see an older individual, like somebody that's at least like 15, 20 years your senior, you have to do what you call a dobale. So you have to like prostrate for them. So that was one thing, like, I think the first couple times I did it, going to her parents' house, her dad was like, oh wow, he
was impressed.
He's prostrating for us. Like, so I, even to this day, like, I still do it now. Even when we go over to their house, the kids are in it. Like, the first time I'm greeting them, prostrating for them and everything, just to show them that, show them that respect. And I think like her mom saw it too, because we had a conversation later about it. Like, her mom saw it too. She's like, yeah, you were respectful, but I just didn't know you are Yoruba, so I wasn't 100% sure.
She was still on it.
No, she was on it. Right. No, like, it took me, I don't know how many years it took me to like really win her over.
Now she can't do it all.
Yeah, like she's
so like when y'all was dating still, or when you were already married?
Yeah, when we're dating. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
she
when we're dating.
Loves him now.
Yeah, so it took me a while, like, to really like see and actually see her like, okay, I think I won her over. Like, she likes me now.
I know that
she likes me now. Yep. So, because that's one thing, I didn't want to have that, like, any type of friction or whatever with like in-laws and stuff like that, because I've seen it already, and it's like, nah, I don't want that, because that's just gonna mess up the dynamics of the entire family structure, you know. So it's like,
have kids, we can't. It's stressful.
Yeah, like, it just adds so much stress.
I don't think she ever like disliked him. I think she just had. It wasn't him. It wasn't him in particular.
Y'all can't see his face.
We should have a video of
it. It wasn't him. Like, she didn't like, him as he is, I don't like him. It was the fact that he wasn't what she envisioned. The fact that she wasn't what she planned. Like, her
only daughter.
She's not controlling. So she wanted it to be a way. And it's like and back then I just thought my mom was just off, like, I thought she was just off a rocker. But now that I have kids, it's like, I can understand that I have this life in my head that I envision for my kids. Right. And it's up to me as a parent to like release that as they get older and allow them to be able to have their own path. Because, as a parent, you feel like, I've been there before, I know what's best. Right. Like, I want you to do this,
so much
and
time in raising your own children.
Exactly. And it's like, I know what you should do in order for you to hit that pinnacle of success. Because I've tried it, and I know your weaknesses, I know your strengths. You're my child. Like, I can tell you how to make $1 million. Listen to me. I will put you on the path to success. But
I'm your mama.
I'm your mama.
I said to do.
Trust me.
I'm a grown up, but still do what I said to do.
I got you.
Goodness. But ain't one of your little friends, right? Like, I heard that.
Don't forget your friends. I can understand that.
So y'all talked about some of the like cultural expectations, like dating and leading up to marriage and being married. Culturally speaking, what are some of the differences you've seen between American marriage values and Nigerian marriage values? Or even not just marriage values, but even relationship values. Everybody who listens to us not married, I know. We can't. We try to have something for everybody. We try.
I don't know. I feel like that's a very like complex question because the African American family structure has been through so much.
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah, like it's hard to like.
Topic. That's one of my favorite topics.
Don't
one of my favorites.
On the whole place of black men.
It's hard to compare that because when you have a marriage on like an African marriage that has not been through slavery, Jim Crow, oppression, redlining, segregation. Like, granted, Africa has their own issues with colonization, right? Like the white man trying to ruin everybody everywhere, right?
I mean, that's
like,
the common denominator.
Yeah, the white man wants to ruin
sorry, white folks.
Sorry, white people.
You got that.
But y'all forefathers are jacked up.
It is what it is.
So like I feel like for the African American family, I believe that family is important.
Yeah,
you can see it. You can see that love is important. You can see that marriage is important. But I feel like there have been so many extenuating outside factors that have made it hard to uphold those values at large.
Right.
But nowadays, you're starting to see it come back. You're starting to see marriage become more important and fathers in the homes and like I saw.
We got two great dads right here.
Yeah, I feel like the generation right now that like the millennials and I guess younger Generation X, I think that's the one above.
Yeah, that's the
one.
Generation X.
I don't know which one.
Yeah. So I feel like they're definitely changing the tides of like the absentee fathers and the broken homes. I feel like we're seeing more of the family values that I feel like they like black people really want.
Right.
Like that's what we all want. Everybody wants happy homes and happy families and happy children. Like nobody wants broken homes and like that's not what you want, but the things around you, the outside factors sometimes cause that. And I feel like with Nigerians, I'm not gonna say that family is more important or more serious, but I feel like Africans are more when it comes to love and like they'll endure. Like they'll stay in a horrible relationship for 40 years just for the kids. Like now you'll see a lot of like people that have been married 40, 50 years getting divorces because the kids
that
are
firsthand,
right.
Like a grown-up child.
Yeah, and you know,
still dealing with that.
Yeah, and so you'll see that. Yeah, you'll see that a lot in African houses because it's getting to the point where the kids are gone, the grandkids are grown. Like we don't have to do this anymore.
Right.
You know, but I think at the end of the day, it's about the kids. It's about the family. It's about it's like having a front of a unit where on the outside everything looks perfect. You know. That phrase right there. Yeah. On the outside everything looks perfect.
I don't think I could have said any better. I don't know if there's any like you said any differences, but like I said, I think the main thing, as she pointed out, is literally just it's all about family, and I think that's really the core similarity or the core value for both African or African descendants and African Americans is just that family value. So yeah, I mean I was sitting here racking my brain. I can't really think of anything, any differences per se. But like I said, family is, all around the most important factor.
I love that. Yeah. Now, I do have a question, actually going back to dating. Okay, so you, Memi, are the oldest of four children. You're the only daughter. And then Dapo, you're the youngest of four, with and the only son. So you and Memi's brothers, like y'all got along right away. So, but how was it for your sisters and then you, Memi? Because they're all older than Dapo. He's little brother. He's the baby. So like, how was that?
They loved her all three.
Okay, good.
great.
Yeah.
I think I feel like she kind of put more pressure on herself. Like, oh, I gotta make sure that they love them. I'm like, girl, like they don't care.
My mom put that on me because she was like, he has not only one, not two, but 4 women that are going to be on top of you.
The mom as well.
Yeah,
you're right. It is for.
So she was like, that's gonna be hard for you, girl. But it's like, but when I first met them, like, I don't know if the way they were raised or something, but they were just all just very warm. Like, even up to today, they're just all so warm and loving. Like, they treat me like I'm their sister.
I love that.
Yeah, the sister right before him, she's probably the most protective of him because I feel like him and her are the closest.
Okay.
So she was like a little bit, like, still not bad, but just a little bit like, yeah. So who are you? Like, you know,
that one eye open, like
that energy, you know. And I still feel like if I messed up, she would still be ready to go to war for him. So, and which I expect, which I appreciate. So,
I love that closeness of the brothers and of the sisters too. I love that.
Oh yeah.
I would kind of experience something similar. I don't know how if you had to. You probably didn't feel any of that sort of pressure, but I know I definitely had that. I know I definitely had to impress an older brother. It ended up that me and him are so
because I'm like, y'all have a lot
that
in
it
common.
wasn't even like it was like it was literally the one day. The one day we literally had the same birthday.
Y'all are the same person.
For real.
Oh my God. When is that birthday?
May 20th.
May 20th.
Yeah.
And so like it's funny because I remember coming to a cookout at y'all house, and your brother is like, everybody who knows Carol brother, he's like 6'5".
Yeah.
I mean, he stands out amongst everybody.
Really tall, right? I had played this dude in basketball in a driveway in front of everybody.
When the backyard was the basketball court.
No, this was like
because we had the basketball.
You had the one. It was like
another version of
It was like on concrete though. Yeah. So I had played this dude.
You gotta play me for my sister love, bro.
Right, basically, yes. I guess he had to make sure I wasn't no punk, and I wasn't gonna back down to him. Like I gave him the business.
I must have been
now, we're talking about someone who's a college basketball.
I guess he played basketball in high school.
We're talking about someone who's a college basketball, but I was a college football player at one point. Damn it, I'm an athlete too. And so yes, I stepped up and made sure that I didn't back down, and I won my respect that day.
This story is brand new to me.
Well, it's not a story for you. You were just sitting there with your mama eating potato salad and
had no clue. There was an entire World War III going on over there.
And Pops is just looking like, come on now, son. That come on now. Try to coach Everett and shit. Like, come on, bro. Like,
He was a college basketball player.
I put my life on the line out here.
I did not know
That was like 6'5". But anyway, yes, no, I feel you. Like when you have to win that approval. I felt that to a certain extent, and sometimes that can extend like later down into the relationship on as well. And so, like I know, like Carol has a real big family, tons of different cousins and aunts and uncles all over the area. And I have a relatively small family in addition to being biracial. So it just kind of, you know what I mean? Like it was something that I always felt that pressure to kind of fit in and to not necessarily fit in, but to win approval. So that's interesting to hear that it's the same. It don't matter what culture that we talk about. It's the same. You still got to win that approval. So that was the point of that question. I love that question.
Yeah. You got to put in that work. You got to put in some.
Why I had to put in that work?
I learned some new things today.
Physically, mentally, and emotionally.
And then of course he tried to dunk it, and I'm like, come on, bro, you like 6'5". Why you doing this? You know I can't dunk, man. Like I ain't been able to dunk in like 7 years, bro. Like, look, come on, bro, stop it. And he dunked it. I'm like, come on, Everett, man, why you doing this to me? Why you doing this?
And look at y'all now, like y'all,
mega
close.
And he's like an older brother to me, and I was always the oldest. So like having someone I could look at him for advice or experience to a certain extent, that's dope. So like I do find those parallels. That's pretty cool. So have you found any pressure to like shift your values since you've been, y'all been married for a while, you have a whole family in the States, you got kids? Have you felt any pressures to kind of shift from your traditional family values to what people might see as more American traditional family values? No. Nah,
not at all.
Which is good.
Yeah, I think even though there's something, okay, like I I can't necessarily speak my language, but I can understand it. Like if someone's having a conversation,
sounds just like that's just like me. Like,
yeah, so
I speak Spanish around me. I know what y'all saying.
Yeah, like I can break down, word for word. But if we're having like a full blown conversation, I'm just sitting there like stuck. Like it's hard for me to get to speak it. And I used to speak it too, like when I was younger. But I guess I got Americanized. But
all his sisters can speak it.
Yeah, I'm the only one. But I think now, even with my kids now, like with our kids, we always try to make sure that we instill, our Nigerian culture into them now. So even at times, like even now, like my dad, we have like every week, or we started like every week now, he'll have like Yoruba classes for him. So he'll like, we'll set up a Zoom and he'll start like, speaking, like teaching them words. I think now they would just learn the alphabet.
That's
so
awesome.
they're, teaching them different words and stuff like that. Yeah. So like my grandparents, they only speak Yoruba to them. Like that's it. Even they'll be sitting there lost in the mud. But yeah, and I have to come in. He said, "Go get this," and they're like, okay, and then they'll go get it. But it's like it's just repetition for them to just understand, like understand the language. So awesome. And that's how our parents was. But I think for me, I feel like that's like very key because like it's very important. I don't want them to to lose that value, to lose that culture, and get to a point where it's like, oh, where your parents from, in Nigeria specifically, like, oh, they're from Nigeria. Where in Nigeria? Like, they from Nigeria. Like, okay, Nigeria's an entire country. Like, you need to know exactly where you came from.
Yeah, and we gave them Nigerian names, Nigerian first names.
Right.
So we taught them how to pronounce them the right way, and then they correct people when they say them wrong. When they say it wrong, they know what it means.
Yeah.
So it's like so that was important to us. Like in order for them to still have that connection, because we're first generation Americans, then they're second generation, so they're third generation Nigerians. So it's like it's just kind of where they're getting further and further removed. And it's like they love Nigerian music, African music in general. Yeah. So that's another way we try to like instill the culture in them.
And that's so important. I love that. That's so important because like towards what you had spoke towards earlier about how it kind of is different with the African American experience versus like an African experience or like that. When you reinforce the family values, when you reinforce your identity, it builds a self-esteem that a lot of us didn't have. And so like that's really important from the beginning. And then so like that's where like when you were saying like we don't have that, and I think to myself like like coming up, like I didn't even really know what my background really was until I was an adult, until I really dug into it, because my mom's family didn't speak Spanish around us, didn't like when I was really, really smaller, my mom's mom spoke Italian around me, and so like apparently like they tell me stories like I understood that, but like I had no idea that my grandfather was Cuban. I had no idea.
Yeah, until like, maybe about 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah, 10, 11 years ago. Like, so like that's what I'm saying. And so I had no idea. Like I knew that they were of Spanish descent, but I had no idea. Like they never spoke Spanish in the house. There was like one painting of the Man of La Mancha, like if you know that play, the main character from the play. There was that and my cousin's name, Alejandra. That was the only clues I had. Oh, wow. That was it. So like you already know like from the African American experience is kind of like we don't have any kind of background or any kind of culture to go back to except for what we've been brought up here. Right. And so like what you just mentioned, that was major. That's a major key. Like Callis say, like that's a major key. That's important because like I think about your son and your daughter. Like they're always going to grow up with that self-esteem because they know where they came from. Whereas like with us, we got to figure out where we came from. You have to like, So like even with Carol's family having a big, huge family that you can draw back to Virginia, North Carolina, and really draw back
to the 1860s was where they stopped. Well, I would say they stopped by force, like in terms of like of the actual records and files. So we go back about 1860,
and so like that's
goes
major.
Back so much further.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But we have no way, of course, of like going
Like
past.
that's where it stopped. Like that's where the paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And so like I don't even have it like that because like on my dad's side of the family I don't know anything past my original, I guess you say my paternal grandfather. I don't know anything past that. Period. I don't know nothing past that. So I don't know nothing past like the 1930s.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
You know. So like that's what I'm saying is like that's why that's so important, and so I'm so glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that y'all are doing that, and like we try to instill family values, and I try to expose my daughters to as much of the culture that I've learned since being an adult. But like that's major. That's really cool, and I appreciate that definitely.
Yeah.
This has been a fantastic conversation with Dapo and Memi. Now I was laughing a lot because y'all had me cracking up and had to actually say, Carol, stop with the whole tears of laughter. Control yourself because people gonna be hearing this whole cackle on the microphone.
Hey, you gotta own that laugh, baby. I've been told you to own that laugh.
Own my cackle.
Own it.
Yes, I definitely
like
own.
be like Fran Drescher. Be out here with that. Be out here with
I
that.
definitely own my cackle.
Own it.
But I really have enjoyed hearing how y'all met.
Yes.
Hearing how it was on dating for y'all and being married. I'm sure that Jason has enjoyed it as well.
Well, I did say yes. I do agree. I did enjoy it as well.
Agree because you said yes.
Thank you, baby. Thank you.
But before we head into our next segment called, what's it called?
What segment? Wordplay? That's the segment we're talking about?
Yeah, that segment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm back. My bad. But don't say it like that. Like, what's it called? I'm like, what? Like, I wasn't even paying attention. I was reading the questions. I wasn't even paying attention.
Gotcha,
like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you were like,
what's it called?
I'm like, fuck. Wordplay?
Okay. So, do y'all want to share anything what you're working on, any projects, or your Instagram, how folks can find what you're working on?
Yeah, so me and one of my friends, we actually have a marriage support platform called Marriage Pinnacle. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram.
Are they on TikTok?
Yeah,
too?
we got a little bit of TikTok on. Not too much yet.
Instagram.
But yeah, we are on Instagram, and our website is www.marriagepinnacle.com.
Awesome.
Word. Yep, I'm just regular. I'm here for support.
He's a basketball trainer.
I'm a side coach. I ref. I train. Yeah, pretty much all of that. I'm an IT consultant. Eventually, y'all probably see some, IT consultant. What do you call it? Business.
Okay.
Soon.
That's awesome.
Hopefully, in the works. But yeah, that's pretty much it. IG, the Legend 3BA07. I'm on there. I don't really post much, but yeah, you'll probably see a whole bunch of family stuff.
Okay, awesome. I love this Dapo and Memi.
Yeah.
And so now we're gonna segue into we're gonna have the hand motion.
I can't talk about my stuff. They can talk about their stuff. You can't talk about your stuff or my stuff.
Hey, come on.
So look, man, just in case in 2023, just in case maybe you've grown tired of your space. You don't like the color on them walls. Like, it's just disorganized. You can't find stuff when you're looking for an outfit, something like that in your closet. You try to make dinner and you can't find nothing in your pantry because the noodles are all the way on the top shelf, all the way to the left. You can't find it. Look, I can help you with all of your space. Hey, look.
No, you talking about us too. He's spitting.
Why are you doing this, man?
Walk over with us.
It's smart. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah, walk about 4 houses down.
Walk back with us so we can get a
This is what we do. Core services, man. Creative organization and remodeling for everyone. For everyone. Core Services DMV. Look, at Core Services DMV on IG, I've done quite a few different projects for a lot of different people around the area. Really, specialty is carpentry. So like anything you need me to build, I got that. Not to mention that I really specialize in organization stuff. Like I said, closets, pantries, garages, all of that sort of thing. But also doing painting. Got the home inspection business coming out in about 35 days. Watch out for that.
Home Inspector.
Man, look out. Yeah, we coming big for 23.
So y'all, you know what time it is? It is time for.
That was the drum roll. Like, there it is. She did the real drum roll. Thank you. Look, what you need to do is record that sound so that every time going forward, you can just play that. You can just play that.
I could do that.
That was cultural. Like, I'm sorry you can't roll your R's. That's. Oh, yes, thank you, baby.
I should have brought the African talking drum with it.
We gotta get some sounds recorded with y'all separately. Yeah, but it is time for wordplay. And so, Jason, what is wordplay all about?
So wordplay is the game that's sweeping the nation.
Oh my God.
So this sensation has really taken the world by storm. And so basically what we're going to do is contestant number 1 is going to pick a letter. Once contestant number 1 picks their letter, contestant number 2 is going to close their eyes, go to the letter, close their eyes, find a word that begins with that letter.
Yep.
And then once you find a word, you let contestant number contestant number 1 know what that word is, and then they have to define it and use it in a sentence. So yes,
who wants to go first?
Well, whoever wants to go first, that's up to y'all.
Doing the word.
What? Pick the word, and you do the.
All right. So what's your letter? He got the book.
I got the letter.
Yeah.
So what's your letter?
The letter is M for Memi.
All right,
Yeah, so you're going to go to the M's, you're going to close your eyes, pick any.
And just so we know, for rules purposes, this is a Merriam-Webster dictionary.
Mime.
Oh, that's
M-I-M-E.
Great word.
And so I gotta say.
So you gotta define
okay.
and use a sentence.
A mime is someone who is acting out something with his hands and facial expressions and not talking.
And your sentence is.
So you mean somebody with like sign language?
Yeah, kind of.
They got 3 different words on here.
They do the dance.
Y'all, she is really doing the whole.
She's doing the
whole thing. She's stuck in the box.
You did Mario.
You're doing the whole dance.
I love to see the mime performances in church.
Okay, great. There you go.
Easy.
Boom.
Yeah, that was very easy.
That's how it always works.
It's about to go downhill from here, guys.
Scientific. She's
I
gonna
thought
give
you
you
were going to be
something.
the one to say
It's about to
it.
go downhill.
Okay, pick a letter. D. Oh, D for Dapo?
Let's see.
How clever.
Yeah, so just close your eyes and pick any word that can begin with the D.
That's about to be crazy.
I want to stop.
You can stop when you want to stop.
You can stop 5 seconds ago.
Okay. This one's not too bad. Dialect.
Dialect?
Oh, and it was good for a topic, right?
Good one.
Okay, dialect. Let me see. How can I put that in a sentence?
You gotta define it.
I gotta define it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, snaps. Okay, dialect. Dang, that's hard to define. Okay, dialect is. It is a.
Right. Like as soon as you said that, as soon as you said how to define, I'm like, it is.
How can you? Okay, so I know. Okay, it involves culture, but it involves how people communicate with each other.
Okay.
Yeah, how to communicate with each other based on their cultural backgrounds.
That is very good. That's very good. You want me to read it?
Yeah, let's read it.
A regional variety of language distinguished by features of vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation from other regional varieties and constituting together with them a single language. This was like King James.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Say King James?
We've been doing that.
Alright, so a sentence, the Pidgin dialect is a somewhat easy language to understand.
And I kind of understand what you're saying because I'm like, I think I should have learned this.
I'm good with. The using in a sentence is my favorite part.
That should count because
it was a sentence as far as being a complete sentence. Or not.
It had a subject. A subject and
that was the best you gonna get.
We've been making fun of that Baltimore dialect this whole episode.
I should have did that.
We literally, that's funny because it's like they like the Baltimore Nigerian version and we're the College Park, Prince George's County version. Like, it's hilarious.
Yes,
We're like a mirror.
Yes.
So this again has been a wonderful episode.
Yes.
I've enjoyed learning more about your backgrounds, about how it was dating, getting married, by being a first generation of Nigerian-American.
That's dope.
And so I really enjoy this.
I
did too.
Just throw that out there. I ain't from Baltimore though. Just throw that out there.
Okay, where are you
Oakland,
from?
California, baby. Oakland.
Oh,
All right.
okay, cool. So that's a whole different story. Like of how you got
There you go.
into Maryland. How you got into Maryland.
That is a whole nother
I don't even
story.
want to talk about that.
Yes,
'Cause every time I think about it, I get mad. But yeah.
Okay,
That is a whole nother story, man.
we're gonna wrap this up. So thanks again for joining us for the Linguistic Show.
Yep.
You can find us on social media at Linguistic Show on Instagram.
Right.
The website.
Right. What's the website?
I'm thinking, is it linguisticshow.com?
Right.
Ding, 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 ding,
You can
ding.
also check out past episodes on Stitcher, Spotify, and Anchor.
You know what else you can do? You got one of them smart speakers. I've learned you can't say the smart speaker out loud because then the smart speaker will hear you say its name and start doing things. So you can't say that chick's name, but if you got that chick or the other chick that mess with your phone, if you got any of them smart speakers, or if you just got the G word and you got that smart speaker, any of them, just say, yo, play Linguistic Show, and it pops up. I actually did that in my car the other day, no lie. Like Alexa put her, dang, I said her. The girl, she played the joke right away, and I was like, yo, that's dope. I didn't think it was gonna work, and it did. That was dope. Yeah, that's dope.
Yep,
Good old technology.
so thanks again for joining us, Mimi and Dapo.
Thank you for having
Thank you
us.
for having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And so check us out, and we'll see y'all next week.
Thanks, everybody. God bless you. Good night.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this, like, comment,
Subscribe and share to the Linguistic Show.
This has been an Ashangali Enterprises production.
Co-produced by Naomi. Music by Brassville.